Folks, the best-selling vehicle in its class ever has been brought over to Ram, upgraded to commercial standards, and is now available to you as the Ram Cargo Van, or Ram CV. Today, what we're going to do is have a look at how the new Ram CV stacks up to the Ford Transit Connect. Now, one of the things I want to do as we arrive here is take a look at the obvious. Many folks have a look at this vehicle and assume that because it is similarly proportioned to larger vehicles in the segment, that one can in fact stand up inside of that vehicle. And I want to be very clear. One cannot stand up inside of that vehicle. In fact, you can't stand up in any of the vehicles in this segment. Let's talk about interior volume. The Ram Cargo Van comes in at just over 144 cubic feet of interior volume, making it best in class in interior volume. As compared to the Transit Connect, it's just over 135 cubic feet of interior volume. If we're considering payload, how much weight can they drag down the road, right? Well, 1,600 pounds versus 1,800 pounds, once again, best in class for the Ram CV. The Ram CV is rated to tow 3,600 pounds, which is also best in class, while the Transit Connect is not rated to tow at all. Now, much of that is attributable to what's under the hood in these two vehicles. Let's talk for a minute about the new Pentastar V6 engine. This is an engine that comes to the market after 5 years of testing at a cost of just under $200 million. Now, you may ask yourself, how do you spend $200 million developing one engine? Well, in a word, testing, and then a little more testing. We start out with 29,000 hours of virtual testing to refine the design. From there, 12 million miles of dynamometer testing to work on and refine the mileage, the horsepower, the torque, vibration, all the things you care about as an end user. From there, we put them in vehicles, put it out in the real world for 4 million miles of on-the-road testing. So in the end, it's no surprise this motor won one of Ward's 10 best engines. You get an Anvil. Now, how does it stand up as compared to the Ford Transit? Let's have a look. At 283 horsepower, you're looking at best-in-class horsepower as compared to the 136 for the Transit. So we better than double their horsepower. When it comes to torque, at 260 pound-feet, you're looking at, again, best in class, and it better than doubles the Transit figure of 128. Now, the Pentastar motor is backed up with a 6-speed automatic versus a 4-speed automatic for the Transit. In reviews of our product, you're going to hear the word drivability thrown out an awful lot. And what that means is it's an engine that lives in the sweet spot, easily accelerated, even when loaded up. And I want you to consider these two vehicles under load. Let's put a couple of guys as a crew inside these vehicles. Let's upfit them. Let's put some supplies out back and consider what half the horsepower and half the torque means in the real world. Often, with a lesser powered vehicle, you end up treating that accelerator pedal like an on and off switch. It's full throttle on, full throttle off, because it's really the only way the vehicle gets underway. And I want you to consider what that means to the longevity of that product as compared to best-in-class horsepower, best-in-class torque, longest range on one tank of fuel, 6-speed automatic, and one of Ward's 10 best. Now, the last thing I want to speak to you about regarding the Pentastar V6 is, quite frankly, one of the first things you're going to consider in making your next cargo van decision, and that has to be cost of ownership. Now, here again, the Pentastar V6 stands head and shoulders above the competition. We're going to start out with the fundamental design. This is an engine that runs a timing chain as opposed to a timing belt. So replacement cost or maintenance cost in replacement of that timing belt is something you'll never incur. Oil filter, everyday maintenance. That filter is right on top of the engine, right out in front, and it requires no special tools to remove it. Once out, you're going to see a paper cartridge filter as compared to the traditional metal canister filter. That filter does a better job of filtering and has a lower cost. Now, the oil itself. Many manufacturers will recommend replacement of an oil based upon a set timing or mileage interval, whereas the Pentastar V6 is going to monitor use of the engine and recommend that oil change based upon that use. So consequently, you're going to look at a range of anywhere from 4 to 8,000 miles. Once again, we're doing what we can to control your maintenance costs. Spark plugs on the engine are designed to run 100,000 miles before replacement, and the coolant in the engine is designed also to run 100,000 miles before replacement. So with the Pentastar V6, you're getting best-in-class horsepower, best-in-class torque, longest range per tank full of fuel, and a company that's doing all we can to control your maintenance costs. Now, let's step to the side and talk a bit about safety. And the very first thing we're going to talk about is brakes on these vehicles. Now, with the cargo van all loaded up, it's got to be an important consideration. And here again, the cargo van stands head and shoulders above the Ford Transit. We're going to start out with disc brakes in the front as well as disc brakes in the rear. Whereas with the Transit, you're going to get disc brakes up front, but old school drum brakes in the rear for less stopping power. Now, when it comes to additional safety equipment, I'm going to break it up into two different sets. I want to talk about active features, those which help you avoid the accident in the first place. Really the best kind of safety there is. And we're going to start with standard equipment, electronic stability control, anti-lock brake system, and all-speed traction control. Once again, all standard with the Ram cargo van. Now, on the inside, we're going to have what are called the passive systems, those that come into play should the worst happen and you actually have that accident. With the cargo van, you're going to have multi-stage airbags for the driver as well as for the passenger. These are going to deploy at 3 different speeds dependent upon severity of the impact. With the Ford Transit Connect, you're looking at simply a 2-speed airbag on both sides. Now we're going to augment the airbag for the driver's side with a knee blocker airbag, which, like the name would imply, will deploy at knee level, a feature not available with the Ford Transit Connect. Now, in the event of a side collision, we're going to take care of you 2 different ways. The seats are outfitted with airbags, which will deploy and protect the occupant's midsection, as well as the side curtain airbags, all standard equipment with this vehicle. And I would like to mention that the side curtain airbag is deletable for those of you guys that have special upfit requirements. Now, when it comes to upfitting, you'll see this van is outfitted with the solid panels in place of windows on the sides and the rear, but we can also upgrade that to any number of window combinations based upon your requirements. We've talked about the fact that our van offers you best-in-class interior volume, best-in-class payload, best-in-class towing, but in the everyday, in the practical, what are we offering you? Well, open the door and you're going to find a flat aluminum floor, very easy to load and unload. You can take sheets of plywood, sheets of sheetrock, and load them in flat and actually close the doors on the cargo van, something you cannot do in the Transit Connect. With the Transit Connect, you can make them fit, but because the van is so short, you can't close the rear doors. I think it's a clear advantage for the cargo van. Now, folks, for 80 years, Ram has stood for quality, proven engineering. And taking those 80 years of experience and bringing them to bear in the cargo van market means you're getting the best of all worlds. Best-in-class horsepower, best-in-class torque, longest range per tank of fuel, 6-speed automatic, disc brakes front and rear, standard safety equipment, best-in-class interior volume, best-in-class payload, best-in-class towing. More of everything you're looking for in your next vehicle while lowering the cost of ownership. Folks, the Ram cargo van gives you all you're looking for in your next cargo van for your small business or commercial fleet.